After 5 years of marriage, my husband, Derek, returned from a 6-month business trip with his first girlfriend, Chloe, by his side. Chloe was already over 3 months pregnant. Derek said that her life had been difficult and that he wanted her to stay at our house temporarily. I refused. Derek called me ungrateful. His tone was full of disdain, as if he had forgotten that this mansion was my property. His entire family had been living at my expense and using my resources. This time, I decided to cut all the expenses I had been covering. I smiled and called my assistant. "Prepare the divorce papers immediately." A man who marries a rich woman dares to bring his mistress home openly? I had been looking forward to Derek's return from his 6-month business trip. That morning, I arranged all the small souvenirs I had collected for him from various places over the past months. I also asked Mrs. Wilson, our housekeeper, to prepare a table full of his favorite dishes. At that moment, the front door opened, and Derek appeared with his arm around his ex-girlfriend. I was shocked. She walked up to me with a smile, gently caressing her slightly swollen belly as she greeted me. "Lily, it's been a while, hasn't it?" As I looked at her visibly pregnant belly, anger grew inside me. Chloe seemed to notice my change in expression and quickly came to my side, holding my wrist as she spoke sweetly. "Lily, please don't be upset. It's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Please don't hurt Derek." Chloe's words hit me like lightning. I hadn't said anything yet, but Chloe had already revealed everything. Derek had been watching my reaction the whole time, ready to protect her at any moment. I clenched my fists and stared at Derek, asking, "Aren't you going to give me an explanation?" After I spoke, he sighed and gently said to Chloe, "Let me take you to choose a room. I'll handle this." Derek's gentle tone left me stunned. In our 5 years of marriage, he had never spoken to me like that. Under my watchful gaze, he supported Chloe as they went upstairs. The driver brought 3 large suitcases. It seemed like Chloe had moved in for good. Although Chloe appeared healthier than me, Derek protected her as if she were a delicate doll. I collapsed on the couch, waiting for Derek to settle Chloe in and then come to explain things to me. While I heard their annoying laughter from upstairs, I was about to go upstairs when the doorbell rang. Derek's parents entered with serious expressions, seemingly not noticing my presence, and quickly went upstairs. I followed Derek, who pulled his parents aside, saying sincerely, "I didn't want to hide this from you. Chloe's pregnancy was unstable at first, and I feared something might go wrong. I hope you can understand. Chloe and I love each other. And the baby in her belly is your grandchild, after all. Please don't blame her." I thought about our 5 years of marriage. Whenever I disagreed with his mother, Derek would always say that she was old and that I should be more patient. He never defended me. I always thought that was just part of his personality. Only today, seeing him protect Chloe at every moment, did I realize that I had been a fool all along. Chloe intervened, holding Derek's mother's hand. "I didn't intentionally want to ruin Derek's marriage. We truly love each other. I hope you can understand, Uncle and Aunt." Derek's mother's severe expression began to soften as she cast me a hesitant glance from the door. In the past 5 years, I had been transferring living expenses to her every month. Anyone could see that Chloe's financial situation did not compare to mine. My heart sank. Derek, as my husband, not only failed to inform me about this situation, but also humiliated me publicly. Did he really think I had no dignity? No self-respect? With the silence that filled the room, Chloe's eyes suddenly turned red, and she began to sob. "The child in my womb is innocent. No matter what happens, I will give birth. You can scold me all you want, but I hope my child won't be harmed." Large tears rolled down Chloe's face, and she looked desolate to anyone who looked at her. Derek wiped the tears from the corner of Chloe's eyes with an expression of pain, his voice full of resentment. "Mom, answer quickly. You know that pregnant women need to keep their emotions stable." After our marriage, Derek's parents immediately began pressuring us to have a child. For 5 years, my belly showed no signs of pregnancy, and I knew that Derek's parents had said many cruel things behind my back. Considering the continuation of the family, Derek's father, who had been silent until then, spoke up. After all, Chloe is carrying the descendant of our family. Everyone should try to control their emotions over the next few months." As soon as he finished speaking, all eyes turned to me. They seemed united, and for a moment, I felt like a stranger. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Doesn't anyone care about my opinion? Seeing my discontent, Derek stepped in front of Chloe angrily and questioned me. "Lily, are you deaf? We've said everything to your face. What else do you want to know?" I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. My husband had been on a 6-month business trip and returned with such a surprise. Not only had he failed to offer any explanation, but he also had the audacity to use an authoritarian tone with me. Seeing that I remained silent, Chloe began to cry again, pulling Derek's wrist as she sobbed. "If Lily is really upset, maybe I should leave." Derek's mother was displeased upon hearing this and immediately responded, "You're carrying our family's grandchild. How could we let you leave?" After saying that, Derek shot me an angry look and said, "Say something. Look how you scared Chloe. Chloe is carrying my child, after all. If you have any objections, talk to me privately. I won't let you hurt her." Chloe then pulled Derek's wrist urgently and said, "Derek, please, I think this is going too far. Maybe I should leave. I don't want to cause trouble between you and Lily." She looked at me as if she were crying, with tears in her eyes, like a soap opera actress in her big suffering scene. And all I could feel was a mix of disgust and outrage. Derek, as always, was quick to comfort her, wrapping her in a protective hug and murmuring words I couldn't hear but that clearly calmed her down. For a moment, I stood still, watching this pathetic scene in my own house, where they dared to challenge me, to openly humiliate me. But a cold, almost calculating feeling took over me. I had nothing more to say. However, there was a clear decision within me. Today would be the last day that Derek and his beloved Chloe would step foot in my house without permission. I had endured too much. And seeing how he was willing to defend her, how he was treating me like an obstacle, like a stranger, was the final blow. I turned around determinedly and went to the office. I grabbed my phone and called my lawyer. I needed to act quickly before the whole facade of Chloe and Derek became even more unbearable. I quickly explained what was happening, the humiliations I had suffered, and he promptly reassured me. "It's all in your name. The house, the accounts, the assets." I knew this, but hearing it from someone I trusted gave me renewed confidence. While I was talking to him, I heard footsteps behind me. Derek had come downstairs, probably wondering where I had gone. Without bothering to disguise the disdain in his voice, he asked, "What are you doing, Lily? Are you going to run away from the conversation again?" I looked at him with a calmness that I believe surprised him. I ended the call and put my phone in my pocket. I slowly stood up, taking a deep breath while he continued to look at me with that superior air, as if he had won some war. "Derek," I said firmly, "you accused me of running away, but honestly, the only person running away here is you. You ran away from our marriage. You ran away from the respect we once had for each other. And now you have the audacity to bring a pregnant woman into my house as if I were just a spectator in your life." He laughed mockingly. "Lily, do you really think you can intimidate me with those words? Chloe and I have a history. What do you and I have? Money, security. You think just because you paid the bills all these years, you can control me?" He seemed taken over by a sense of power, but I knew it was all a desperate attempt to feel in control, to believe that he wasn't completely at my mercy. Derek kept talking, but I stopped listening. I went to the door, opened it with a sharp motion, signaling that he should leave. "This isn't an invitation, Derek. This is a warning. Take Chloe, your bags, and leave now. I'll send the divorce papers as soon as I can. And make it clear to your family too. They won't see another penny from me." His expression changed from superiority to surprise and finally to panic. He hesitated, trying to regain control of the situation. "Lily, you're exaggerating. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be so low." I smiled a smile he had never seen before. "Oh, Derek, you don't know anything about what I'm capable of. All these years, I've been by your side, enduring every comment from your mother, every disguised humiliation, but I had hopes that you would one day see the value of what we built. Now it's clear that you never respected me." He still tried to argue, but was interrupted when Chloe came down the stairs, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. She noticed something had changed. I was no longer the calm wife willing to forgive everything. She placed a protective hand on her belly, as if I were a threat to the baby. "Derek, I think it's better if we leave," she said with false sweetness, trying to calm the situation. "Yes, I think it's better," I agreed, looking into Chloe's eyes, making it clear that her game didn't fool me anymore. "You have until the end of the day to leave here. Consider this my final kindness." Derek glared at me with hatred, but I remained firm. They left the room, but I stayed where I was, watching as he gathered the bags and helped Chloe, with wounded pride and not a word more for me. The house, which had been the setting for so many memories, some good, some painful, was finally freeing itself from that weight, from that falseness. When the door closed, I felt a wave of relief and, at the same time, sadness. But it wasn't for Derek. It was for the time and energy I had dedicated to someone who never saw me for who I truly was. I called my lawyer again, informing him about Derek's departure and the progress of the divorce. That night, I sat at the dinner table alone, but at peace. As I ate, I thought about the future and how much I still had to rebuild for myself. I decided right then and there that I would never again allow anyone to treat me the way Derek had, that I would always remain firm, independent of any relationship. After that night, when Derek and Chloe finally left my house, an unexpected calm washed over me. For the first time in years, I felt like I had full control over my life, the decisions I made, and, most importantly, how I would react to everything they had put me through. But that feeling wasn't enough. I knew they had gotten away too easily from that situation, without a real sense of the weight of the choices they had made. It was an open wound, and I couldn't allow it to remain unanswered. In the following days, I kept constant contact with my lawyer to speed up the divorce process. The house, the bank accounts, and Derek's assets were tied to me in such a way that with a simple signature, he would lose almost everything. 4 years, he had gotten used to luxury, to traveling, to meals prepared by renowned chefs, to a life he only had because he was with me. Now, that privilege was about to disappear, and I would make sure he felt it. The first news that came to me was that he was desperate, trying to find a place to live with Chloe. They had gone to a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, an area very different from what Derek was used to. Chloe, of course, was not at all pleased with the new reality. She had come to destroy my marriage, thinking she would take my place, but all she had managed to do was share rent for a modest space with a broken man. At work, Derek was also struggling. I decided to end all associations and contacts he had with me. I informed all of our business acquaintances about the separation and made it clear that he no longer represented my company in any way. The impact was immediate. Derek lost access to contacts, clients, and the network of influence I had built with great effort. Now, he was just another face in the crowd. For me, these steps were necessary, but not enough. I wanted Derek and Chloe to feel the true weight of the choices they had made, so I decided to act more directly. I hired a private investigator to document their life in that apartment. It didn't take long for me to receive a full report. Chloe and Derek were constantly fighting. She was frustrated with the new life, complaining about the lack of money, the condition of the place, and mostly, the fact that he couldn't keep her at the standard she thought she deserved. The photos the investigator sent were living proof that their dream was crumbling. But the final revenge was yet to come. Through contacts I still had in the sector, I managed to get Chloe a job offer. It was a position as an assistant at a small company, the kind of job that, for someone like her, was almost humiliating. It was exactly what I wanted. Chloe, deluded, accepted the job, thinking she could eventually move up and regain the lifestyle she so badly wanted. Derek, with no options, also had to accept a job inferior to what he was used to. He started working at a mediocre company, but his reputation in the market was already tarnished. People saw him as someone who had married for interest and was now broke, struggling to maintain appearances. One day, I decided to confront them personally, but indirectly. I knew where they usually had lunch, a small restaurant near Chloe's office. So, I walked in there unexpectedly, knowing they would be there. The stares around me were inevitable. I approached their table with a smile on my face and noticed the discomfort in their eyes. Derek, Chloe, I greeted, as if they were old acquaintances and nothing special had ever happened between us. They were silent, visibly uncomfortable. Lily, we don't need to do this here, Derek whispered, clearly embarrassed. I ignored the comment and continued. I just wanted to see how you two are doing. I heard life's changed quite a bit in the last few months. I made sure to look them up and down, noticing their simple clothes and worn-out appearance. Chloe tried to keep her posture, but it was clear that my presence irritated her deeply. She responded, trying to maintain composure. We're fine, Lily. I believe in the end, everyone here got what they wanted. I let out a low laugh. Oh, for sure. At least I'm living in peace. I just wanted to wish you both happiness. Enjoy every moment of this new life you've built together. I smiled at her, a look of pure irony, and turned my back, leaving them with their plates and mediocre lives. It was in that moment that I felt I had finally broken free. They were trapped in a life they had chosen for themselves, and there was nothing I needed to do to make it worse. Derek had traded the security and comfort he had with me for an illusion, and Chloe, who thought she would take my place, was now stuck in a reality with no luxury, no stability, and no respect she thought she deserved. I went back home with a sense of satisfaction I hadn't felt in a long time. Every detail of that revenge had been planned for them to face the consequences of their actions. I didn't need to lift a finger against them directly. I just let life take its course. Meanwhile, I, on the other hand, was rebuilding my peace and freedom. In the months that followed, I began investing in myself. I picked up old hobbies again, traveled to places I had always wanted to visit, and started exploring new business opportunities. The life I built was finally free from any shadows of the past. And Derek and Chloe. I heard their relationship didn't last long. Chloe, dissatisfied and frustrated, ended up leaving Derek, leaving him exactly as he started, with nothing and no one. When I learned about their breakup, I simply smiled to myself. They had sown their own seeds and now reaped the fruits of their choices. I, for my part, finally felt that I had closed that chapter of my life.